What's up, adventurers? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm diving into the 2024 Dungeons & Dragons spell, Conjure Minor Elementals, and specifically why this 4th level conjuration might just be the most broken spell in the game once you factor in certain class features and upcasting options. I'm a little late to the game here. I'm not the first creator to cover this spell, but it's been in the queue for long enough. I think it's about time that I add my voice to the choir. Much like its bigger cousin, Conjure Elemental, this spell has the potential to blow other spells right out of the water, particularly when paired with a bard from the College of Valor. In fact, Conjure Minor Elementals might be so powerful that I'm willing to do something that I rarely recommend. I'm going to advocate for some house ruling tweaks on this one, or an outright ban. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to dive into how the spell works, why it's problematic, and how we can fix it to keep our games balanced and fun. As a 4th level conjuration spell on the Druid and Wizards list, it allows you to summon spirits from the elemental planes around you in a 15-foot emanation for up to 10 minutes. The swirling aura of energy has 2 major effects. 1. Any attack made against a creature within this 15-foot radius deals an extra 2d8 elemental damage. Acid, cold, fire, or lightning. You get to choose what type of damage each time you land a hit. Then, the area within the emanation becomes difficult terrain for your enemies, slowing them down if they tried to close in on you or if they tried to escape. On its own, that extra 2d8 damage might not seem massively game-breaking. After all, plenty of 4th level spells can swing the tide of battle with some insane damage numbers. But the real trick here is that Conjure Minor Elementals scales with its upcasting. For each spell slot level above 4th, you add another 2d8 bonus damage. That means at 5th level, it's 48, at 6, 68, and at 7, 8d8, and so on. Now imagine a 9th level spell slot, adding a whopping 12d8 bonus damage to each strike you make with a target in that aura. If you're combining that with abilities granting multiple attacks per round, or even spells that involve multiple attack rolls, that can add up to hundreds of points of damage every round, far outstripping most comparable resource expenditures. So, where does the Bard come into play specifically? The College of Valor Bard, thanks to the Bard's Magical Secrets feature, can poach spells from the Druid or Wizard spell list. Once they have access to Conjure Minor Elementals, they can then leverage the spell's high damage potential alongside martial prowess. The College of Valor offers extra attacks, letting the Bard make 2 weapon attacks or 1 weapon attack and 1 cantrip attack in a single attack action. Each successful strike triggers the extra 2d8 or more damage from the Conjure Minor Elementals emanation. Toss in a hasted Bard or a reaction attack under certain conditions, and you're talking about multiple triggers every round, each one piling on potentially 6d8, 8d8, or even more once upcasted. One of the most explosive and potentially game-breaking ways to use Conjure Minor Elementals arises when you dip into Warlock for Eldritch Blast. Combine it with the Valor Bard's extra attack feature, and then stack on 2 weapon fighting. The Valor Bard's extra attack allows you to replace one of your weapon's attacks with a casting of a cantrip, such as Eldritch Blast. At higher levels, when Eldritch Blast fires 3 or 4 beams, you can make 1 melee attack with your sword, unleash multiple beams of Eldritch Blast, and still pull off an additional attack or 2 with dual wielding. If you've upcast Conjure Minor Elementals to the point where it's adding, say, 8d8 of extra damage per hit, those extra attacks quickly snowball into some staggering damage numbers. For instance, imagine a 17th level character who is Warlock 1 Bard 16. Thanks to Valor Bard's extra attack, this character can swing once with a melee weapon, then replace the second attack with Eldritch Blast, which at this level can fire 4 separate beams. Each beam is a separate attack roll, and because the character is dual wielding with the dual wielder feat and a weapon that has the Nick Mastery or a similar property, they can also use a bonus action for an offhand attack. Another thought experiment here, to illustrate the point, can be seen by pairing a 9th level casting of the spell with an 8th level Scorching Ray. Under normal circumstances, Scorching Ray cast at 8th level yields 9 individual attacks. The base spell provides 3 rays at 2nd level, plus 1 additional ray for each slot above 2, totaling 9 rays at 8th level. Each ray normally deals 2d6 fire damage, averaging 7 hit points per hit. However, with Conjure Minor Elementals cast using a 9th level slot, you could be adding 14d8 of elemental damage to every single successful attack against targets standing in the spell's 15-foot emanation. 14d8 averages 63 damage. Each ray suddenly jumps from 7 to 70 damage, multiplied by 9 successful attacks, and you're looking at a theoretical 630 points of damage. That is so insane in one round if every ray hits. And a number like that far exceeds the typical output of most other spells or abilities. What makes this scenario especially potent is that Scorching Ray allows you to divide its rays amongst multiple targets or focus them all on one enemy, so long as they're all within the 15-foot area of Conjure Minor Elementals. Even though that this is a white room calculation, meaning it assumes ideal positioning, full HP targets, and perfect hit chances, the raw potential underscores just how dramatically this spell scales when paired with high upcast multi-attack spells. In a practical game situation, factors such as enemy movement, terrain, missed attack rolls will lower the real damage totals, but even if you half that, the potential still dwarfs the output of most 9th level resources. Consequentially, it's easy to see why many tables should be considering imposing house rules on CME, from capping the bonus damage to shortening the spell's duration in order to keep encounters fair and prevent spells like this from overshadowing the rest of the party's contributions. CME makes silvery barbs look like a plaything, but the damage isn't entirely the full story. Let's not forget about the spell also imposing difficult terrain for enemies within the 15-foot radius. In a tight corridor or a clustered fight, this can mean the bard and their allies can maintain favorable positioning while forcing enemies to trudge through slowed terrain. And that can be stacked with other effects, like some of the weapon masteries that can cause your enemy to go prone or even slow them down further. It helps keep foes within the emanation, which means they're prime targets for those bonus damage attacks. If the bard or other party members have any sort of crowd control or forced movement effects, enemies can be forced in the remaining zone, effectively turning it into a blender of elemental pain. The combination of high bonus damage, scaling with upcasts, and synergy with multiple attacks in one turn is what makes CME arguably broken. So should we just let CME reign supreme? In many campaigns, especially those with fewer combat encounters or shorter battles, it could fly under the radar, so maybe it's an example of don't fix it until it becomes broken. But in higher level play or more complex campaigns, or when you have a party that just really loves to exploit the rules and come up with all of the broken combinations and message you and say, hey DM, would you allow this? Maybe it's time to take a look at CME. It risks overshadowing everything else. So here are a few of my ways that we can modify it without trivializing the challenges. One approach is to cap the bonus damage. For instance, you could limit the scaling to a certain point, such as the spell's extra damage can exceed 68 total. This prevents 8th or 9th level spell slots from becoming unstoppable engines of destruction. Another option is to shorten the duration from 10 minutes to 1 minute, or even a few rounds, ensuring that this powerful boost only lasts for about one intense combat or maybe half of one. You could also limit how much extra damage triggers can occur per turn. For example, applying the bonus damage only once per round or once per attack action. This still makes it strong, but not overwhelmingly so. Most people in the community agree the best way to keep it without banning it entirely is to scale it at the same level as Spirit Shroud, 1d8 every 2 levels instead of the 2 for every spell level. This will make it good enough to still want to use, but not blow everything else out of the water. Ultimately, Conjure Minor Elementals can be an incredibly fun, flavorful, and even iconic spell to cast. The idea of elemental spirits dancing around you while you're striking down foes with blasts of acid, cold, and fire and lightning is undeniably cool. But fun can quickly turn to frustration If one character is skyrocketing the party's overall damage output to the point that the other players just feel unnecessary. That's why a bit of table discussion or some gentle house rulings can go a long way towards keeping gameplay balanced and enjoyable for everybody. Until next time, my friends, keep rolling those dice, and may your quests be epic.